think we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Hey, Martha.
Hey, guys.
Hello. So, things are a little bit different right now. I don't see Sarah. Where the heck is Sarah?
Sarah has got a really important meeting today that came up out of nowhere, and as realtors, we all know how that is. You've kind of got to take it while it comes at you. So she has trusted us to co-host. Neither one of us were brave enough to do it on our own, so we're going to combine forces and conquer the world.
And it's also important to note that that's how we also, would like to jump and move in mountains to be able to get with our clients too, even if we have other stuff going on. So it was really important for Sarah to do that.
I hear that. Of course, Sarah had things to take care of, which is completely fine because I'm actually really excited for Jeff and Beth to be hosting this show today. I know for a fact that they bring in the energy, and I'm just super excited for today. So what do we have going on today?
Well, we have some great anonymous questions that came in that we kind of wanted to open up to the team, to the real estate experts, to our lending expert team. So that's kind of the big thing on our list today.
Yep, and we are going to go with the same format. Martha, you are going to be bad Google. So, the basis of this is that people, instead of reaching out to experts like we have assembled here, they go on Google and ask questions and kind of base their financial futures on what they hear on the internet. Everybody knows that everything you see on the internet is correct. So these people are just fine doing that. No, they are not. So you are going to be bad Google. We are going to ask the questions that have been submitted, and then our experts are going to say all the ways that you've gone wrong, Google, and tell us how to set ourselves straight.
Sounds good. Sounds good to me. So before we do that, how about we introduce all of the beautiful humans that we have here on the call? How does that sound?
Great.
Awesome.
Awesome. So thank you, everyone, for being here, for watching live. My name is Martha Elizabeth Aguilar. I'll be your co-host for the Unscripted Real Estate Show. A little bit about myself. For almost a decade, I assisted the leaders of tomorrow, which are our children. And since October of 2020, I transitioned to serving the leaders of today. I'm owner of Morelli VA, a virtual assistant agency, and co-founder and co-leader of I Am Community, an online community of women empowerment. I virtually assist the JS Realty team through transaction management and all things marketing. And a fun fact about myself, geez, I'm going to run out of these. Well, fun fact, I'm in Los Angeles, so I've been waking up at 4 a.m. every single day because
I was going to say, if you can't figure out a fun fact, that was going to be my fun fact for you.
Yes, so I am literally in LA. I don't have, these aren't real palm trees, but in front of me, I do see palm trees. So
don't tell anybody.
So
that's what you're doing there. What's one fun thing that you're doing there?
I want to save this for the next one, Jeff. Fun fact, I'm actually going to be attending Lee Steinberg's Super Bowl party this Saturday. A bunch of football players, celebrities coming down, about 2,000 to 3,000 people going to be on that party.
Cool. Very exciting.
Yeah, so it's going to be an exciting one, and that's why I'm here all week. Saturday is the day. So yeah, that's a couple fun facts. Next, we have the show producer, Jenna Charpentier. Jenna started working at the age of 7 in Hollywood, California, not too far from that, appearing in several commercials, TV shows, and even a movie. These days, she prefers to work behind the scenes by supporting the JS Realty team with day-to-day operations, marketing, and brand awareness. What's a fun fact, Jenna? Tell us a fun fact.
I am beyond excited about the Super Bowl because I am a Rams fan.
I'll be cheering on for them.
My kids are super happy that the football season's almost over because I've been screaming every week.
That's funny. That's funny. I'll be taking photos, and if I see anything that I feel like would be close enough for you to get excited, I'm going to send it to you. Jenna, thank you for the fun fact. Next, we have Realtor Chris Madison, expert Realtor. Coach Chris is a Northern Virginia OG and grew up in Falls Church City. As a former college athlete, Chris takes a coach role with his clients, so he's able to successfully guide them through their real estate transactions. He's also a girl dad to 2 beautiful teenage girls who also have a love for sports. Chris, tell us a fun fact about yourself.
Oh, these are getting harder every week as well, but thank you. Excited to be here. I shared my rodeo story last week.
That was the best.
Before I got into real estate, I worked in women's professional tennis, and actually, and this was a few years ago, it dates me a little bit, but I actually drove Anna Kournikova from the airport to her housing for the tournament that I worked at. So that was kind of an interesting opportunity. So.
Wow. Great fun fact. I feel like Chris will never run out of fun facts. Linda?
I'm sorry, Chris, didn't you mean Billy King?
We'll talk later.
Great. Well, that leads us to expert realtor Linda Chandler. Linda got her start in Northern Virginia as well and has been an active member of the Falls Church City community for almost 20 years. Linda has a background in hospitality, which has proven useful in the real estate industry. She has become like a concierge to her clients. They can come to her for anything, and they do. Linda, tell us a fun fact about yourself.
Fun fact. So I guess I'm such a diehard Washington Capitals fan that my cat's name is Oshie.
If I were a lot more involved.
Sorry, Jeff.
That's awesome.
Okay, I'll come up with another one.
Great. Thank you, Linda. Next, we have expert Katie Hickey, co-founder of the Simmons team at Caliber Home Loans. Katie was born into a family of builders, developers, brokers, and loan officers right here or right there in Northern Virginia. And it's no wonder she's becoming a driving force in the lending world. She has lifelong clients and is dedicated to helping people achieve the American dream of home ownership. Katie.
Yes.
What's a fun fact about yourself?
Goodness gracious, I'm running out of these with you guys, the birds and everything else. In 2004, I met Kenny Chesney and became very close with him, and was out on his boat when he recorded When the Sun Goes Down and Song for the Saints.
That's awesome.
Wow, good one.
He did leave us on me and a couple friends on an island while he went off to record it, and then we later got picked up.
Oh,
wow. Nice.
Yeah.
I wish I knew who that was. I really wish.
Country singer. Some people love him, some people hate him.
Oh, I thought it was because I'm the youngest in the group. That's why I feel like that's just very common. I won't know. Next, we have expert Alyssa Maloney, also from the Simmons team. Alyssa is from sunny Southern California, having moved to Northern Virginia just about 4 years ago. Since joining the Simmons team, Alyssa has helped them consistently break sales records and works very, very hard to help current and future homeowners with their financing needs. Alyssa, welcome. What is a fun fact about yourself?
So, fun fact, even though I'm from LA, I will not be rooting for the Rams this weekend. I'll be rooting for the Bengals because our close family friend Trenton Irwin is a backup wide receiver for the Bengals. So, gotta root for the fan friend. Yep.
That is a fun fact for sure. Exciting. I love it. Last but not least, we got our two hosts of the day, starting with Realtor Beth Dunn. Beth is also the Northern Virginia OG, having grown up in Loudoun County. So she's watched that area grow and change quite a bit. Beth is a powerhouse realtor, owns an investment property, and is the director of Sampson Property Management. So her expertise comes from her years of professional and personal experience. Beth, you got them. I know you got plenty of them. What's a fun fact about yourself, ma'am?
well, I think I'm going to stick with the sports football theme that's going on, and Jeff will probably jump in on this one too. But how I met Jeff and Sarah was we used to bartend together at a restaurant in Lansdowne where a lot of the Redskins would frequent. So those boys at that time were a lot of our regulars there. So super fun to be a part of that.
Super fun. Great fun fact. And we have Realtor Jeff Taylor, aka the original host of the show's husband. Jeff, it's awesome to have you here. Yet another Nova OG. Jeff is our triple threat expert realtor, licensed Class A contractor, and director of Samson Property Management. Jeff is passionate about finding his clients quality properties for great values, and you will not find a more honest, diligent, and ethical human. He is also dedicated and a loyal Washington sports fan. Jeff, fun fact about you. Give it to us.
Okay. I am going to go with the one you mentioned. So Beth and I have known each other for a long time. And Sarah, my wife, and Jeff, her husband, used to hang out early on in our relationship. The girls would be working and we'd go by to pick them up or what have you. And one night we were there picking them up, and I decided it'd be a good idea to shoot Beth with a rubber band that was the size of a commercial bungee cord. And I was just going to shoot it at her. I didn't realize what would happen. It was not good. And so she proceeded to chase me around the restaurant, and I ran out of my flip-flop. She picked it up and caught me and beat me with my own flip-flop. And that was probably after I'd known her for maybe 8-9 months. So yeah, we've been best buddies ever since. So, and our significant others at the time, we weren't married to them, just looked at us and laughed like, there we go. That's our people.
That is awesome.
And to add insult to injury, our other friend was playing through the speakers, the Western.
She did.
Wow,
Yeah, it took her a while to catch me. So she was able to get to the thing and type in the good, the bad, and the ugly theme. So yeah, it was pretty impressive.
That is a fun fact. That this room has been filled with great, great fun facts. And now that we've finished introducing all of our experts, Jeff, Beth, what you got going on? Let's go on with some of the things, that you got going on for today.
I think we'll just get right down to it. I think what we're going to do is Jeff and I are going to take turns asking our Google questions that have come in anonymously, and we're going to pose it to you. You're going to give us your response as, somebody that is or does not have the correct answer, and then we are going to check in with our panel of experts and kind of get their feedback and figure out, were you right? Were you wrong? Were you somewhat right? And give you guys their advice.
And I think, Martha, we'll get to the first question, but I believe we have another guest that has come through. So maybe we'll get through the first question and then we'll introduce the guest, and perhaps they will have a question for the Google, the bad Google as well.
All right, so let's start with the first question.
All right, first question. Let's just start it off simple. Is now a good time to sell? Google.
Loading. Answer. Yes, today's a great time to sell. There are a lot of buyers looking for a home, and there is not enough homes out there. And so if you're looking to sell right now, there's no better time to sell. In fact, if you sell your home, you're going to get it for 4 times the amount that you put it for. So expect a lot of cha-ching, because definitely there's no hesitation. Put your home up, and it's going to be sold within like 24 hours, if not 12. That
is your final answer. I love the enthusiasm behind it. Okay, well, let's go ahead and open this up to our panel of experts. Guys, what are your thoughts? What were your thoughts on her response in today's market? Yeah,
can we make these promises to our clients?
4 times.
I mean, Google said it, so we might as well tell them all.
Cha-ching.
12 hours, get the moving truck.
That's right. If it's Google, it's got to be truth, right?
Right.
No, what Google shared is definitely a great time to sell. And she did mention a couple things that are key factors to that. One is, of course, the inventory. We've heard about it over the last 16 to 18 months, but the inventory of available properties for buyers is at historic lows like we've never seen before. And it really comes down to a simple supply and demand. And because of that low demand, that low supply, we also have a huge number of buyers that are eager to sell. And then you add on top of that a very strong market where we are seeing historic growth in available cash because the market is doing so well. We have extremely qualified and ready to go eager buyers. So to Google's point, we're seeing situations even as early as January where we're seeing home prices escalating 5, 10, 15% over asking price. Because even though the interest rates are creeping up, they're still at historic lows. And I think the fact that we are seeing them creeping up, buyers are feeling a heightened sense of urgency to come in and put their very best foot forward with their offers. And as a seller, you can't script a better scenario for a home seller.
So it sounds like to me, it's the perfect storm with all your different factors as to what's going on right now and the different points that you brought in. It sounds like it's the perfect storm.
Yep, that's absolutely right.
Great answer. Great answer. Well, Martha, do you want us?
Yeah, that was a great response. Thank you, Chris, for your expertise. Before we continue with the other anonymous questions, I would love to introduce Kofi. Kofi, welcome. Kofi Aguirre, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, was invited.
Yes,
oh, awesome. Yes. Yes. Invited by Chris Madison. He's also looking to buy in Stafford. Kofi, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you currently reside, and a little fun fact.
Well, I currently live in the Alexandria area, and I'm trying to bring my family over, so I'm looking for a new place, and looking at the markets around Alexandria. Well, it's quite competitive. I'm looking for a single family home, so I'm looking down south, somewhere Fredericksburg, Stafford, but the market is pretty much tough, but I'm still looking. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kofi, again for being here and for sharing that. Kofi, you have an open floor to ask any question that you may have, any at all, especially, you're looking to buy. So any question that you had in your mind, and you're going to ask the search engine, AKA myself, Google, and I'm going to answer it, but I'm not going to answer it. I'm either going to answer it correctly or I'm going to answer it not so correctly, because story of our lives, right? You search something and it's not always going to be accurate. And then we're going to have our experts, Linda and Chris, come in, as well as experts, Katie and Alyssa, come in if it's relevant to your question and provide accurate information. How does that sound?
That sounds great.
Awesome. So Jenna, please get the 3-minute mark ready. And Kofi, whenever you're ready, ask the question.
Sure.
You could go ahead and ask it right now.
Well, I'll come back later, so you just go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, we can go to our next question then from
Yep.
our anonymous.
We have question number 2. Why is my home's assessed value different from the market value?
Why is my home's assessed value different than the market value?
So that would be the tax assessment.
Got it. Okay.
Versus what we would list it for sale.
Okay. My answer is because there are a lot of really ugly torn down homes around you. And it's not looking good. And there are a lot of mice running around. And because of that, your property is just not, it's just no bueno. And you might be living in one of the best cities in the world, but you're also living in one of the trashiest streets in the city too. So that's yeah, it all depends. And I would say get realtor, expert realtor that could help you with that. But yeah, that would be my final answer.
So we're hearing that you don't get extra assessed value for each mouse that is in your home, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay. So the assessment, maybe it's high because the government doesn't know that you've got mice everywhere, and the market value would be lower in that case. You know, it's I don't think it's a very good answer, but I liked where you went at the end, where maybe you should ask a realtor. So we're gonna do that right now, and we're gonna ask Linda to shed some light on this, and hopefully we can get this corrected.
Sure. So a home's assessed value is for tax purposes within your county or your city. And it's different from your market value. And the market value is essentially what a buyer is willing to pay in the marketplace for your home. There's typically a difference. Your assessed value is based on kind of your zip code and general knowledge about your home. It also takes into consideration ebbs and flows in the economy. You know, if things slow down and prices drop or prices go up. So typically, you see maybe it just varies 10 to 20% below what the actual market value is of a home. I think did I cover it?
Yeah, I think that is an excellent answer. Very thorough. And I think it's a great way for you to understand. I think that is definitely one of the most common questions that we get when we go into a listing appointment. Why is my property tax assessment so much lower than what other properties are selling for? So I think that, you know, a lot of people don't understand the difference, and that's a big deal.
Yep, that was the 5th most asked question on the Google search engine about real estate in 2021. So I think that if they just had you, Linda, if everyone had you, the world would be a better place.
Thank you.
That is
Does anybody else want to jump in?
Looks like Chris may have something on his mind.
I think Linda nailed on the head. That was a great answer. You know, a lot of times you'll see the things with tax assessments, they don't always take into account recent upgrades or if you made drastic changes to your home. But we're also seeing a huge gap in the difference between market value and assessed value. It goes back to our previous question about inventory. That market value number just continues to rise because of the inventory. You know, 10, 15, 20 years ago, the market value and the assessed value were pretty close. But right now, those two numbers seemingly are getting farther and farther apart.
Agreed.
Yep, 100%. All right, guys.
Great feedback, great question. Thank you, experts. So Kofi, would you like to ask your question now that you have an idea as to how this is running?
If not, we had another great anonymous question come in. So whatever you're comfortable with.
All right. So my question is, what's the difference between the assessed value and then the appraised value?
Ooh, that's a great question. That is another great question to ask, I think, especially in the times of the value, people making offers so much higher than what the list price is. So Google, do your thing.
And I wanted to repeat it. What's the difference between an assessed
value,
the tax assessment,
and then what you may get on an appraisal? So if your assessed value on a home is $500,000 and you put an offer in, much higher, and it does appraise for that much higher number. Say you've got an offer in at 540 and hallelujah, it appraises for 540. You don't have to bring money to the table. Why is that? What is the difference between assessed and appraised value?
Got it. So Kofi, the difference between an assessed value and an appraised value is that the assessed is what is given when a home has been lived in for. So for example, when you see a home, that home, you're given the assessed value from the many years that it's been there, like been in that area, and the many years that the homeowner has lived in that home. The appraised is current right now. An appraiser comes in, sees the value of it, sees the current, right now, what's around, any the surroundings of where that home is. So the best way I would explain this is that the assessed is like the value of the past, and the appraised is value of right now, the future. That is the best way that I can describe what the difference is. And that is my final answer.
Thank you. Thank you. We hear the word appraisal, and whenever we hear some of those terms involved in lending, we go right to the experts. And luckily, we've got two of the best lending experts in Northern Virginia here with us today. So I'll let either one of them, Alyssa or Katie, would like to jump in and speak to this point.
So an appraised value is really just, I'll give you the layman's terms definition of an appraised value. So an appraised value is one person's opinion of value of a property at one point in time. So I'd like to give this example. I think I gave it last week or the week before, but you can have two separate appraisers visit the same property on the same day and get two completely different values. It's literally just an opinion based on comparable sales data in the immediate area. And their two appraisers could go view the property, have different viewpoints on maybe certain upgrades that have been done. And even though they may have the correct square footage and living space area, number of bedrooms that are on record for the same property, they may be finding completely different comparable sales within a 1 mile radius of that property, which could create a bit of a discrepancy in some cases between appraised values. But to that point, that's not necessarily reflective of the assessed value. I think we touched on the fact that the assessed value is whatever's taxable on the property, which is determined, I think, by the county, versus one person's opinion on a given day at a given time.
Correct.
Bingo.
Awesome.
That clearly,
Enough said.
Thanks.
clearly I did not know that, or Google did not know that. So thank you for that.
That was a bingo. I couldn't have said it better myself. So my failure of my mute unmute key, I'm glad that I had it.
Nicely done, Alyssa. Kofi, does that kind of clarify things for you? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Perfect.
Yes, it does.
Did you have any follow-up questions or anything else that you wanted us to dig in on specifically that?
Oh, I was just thinking of specifically that. I was just basing my home search around those two. Those two were quite confusing. So I was basing on the properties I might be looking at. Should I base on the assessed value or the appraised value, appraisal? Like, yeah. But it's clear, so I might not have a property. I might not get a property with the assessed value. It might be higher than that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you. Follow-up question for Kofi, as he is newly kind of making his way through this purchase process. He's got a great realtor, and Chris there is guiding him through. But I don't know, Kofi, if you've gone through the pre-approval process or anything like that. But if I could ask Alyssa or Katie. A lot of people think, oh gosh, it's a scary process. I've got to, fill out all this paperwork and do all these things. But we do believe it's the first step in the process is to figure out what you can buy. What is your buying power? Could you run us through just how, in our mind, it's way easier than it used to be, but what is the process in the nutshell to get pre-approved and to get out there, maybe even do the full approval that we've talked about in the weeks past? So he can get out there and confidently search and know what his monthly payment is going to be, and get Chris to take him and see lots of great houses and buy one.
So we always start with a phone call or email. A lot of people prefer email these days, and we'll just get your comfort level, see what price range you're looking at if you have a price range in mind. see if you have credit score issues that you think that you have, kind of just get some preliminary information so that we know what to look out for. And then we will send you a link to the application, our website, which is www.simmonsloans.com. You can click apply online there, or you can come in the office and meet with us. We're more than happy to do that. We just don't get to do that very often anymore with COVID. Or we can do a phone application, and we can do that pretty much anytime, 7 days a week. We're pretty flexible with that. So once you do that, it takes no more than 10-12 minutes to fill that out. It'll come into our email, and we'll be in touch within a couple of business hours of a list of documentation that we need from you in order to complete the pre-approval. Once we get that documentation, it takes another 24 business hours to review that. And at that point, we're able to issue a pre-approval letter. And what we also like to do is take it that one step further, which Jeff was just talking about, and submit it to underwriting as a TBD property. So that's just a to be determined property to get you fully underwritten pending a contract, ratified of course, and an appraisal. That way you also have a much stronger offer. You can go in without a financing contingency if you're comfortable there. The other thing that we like to do is send you fee sheets, and fee sheets just basically list out all the closing costs and your monthly payments. So once we talk to you and get an idea of what you're comfortable with, because a lot of people can afford a lot more than what they're comfortable with, we'll send fee sheets based on that and the down payment that you're thinking. And all that happens pretty quickly with us. And then it's just in your hands to find the perfect property.
And I know everybody's different. Each case is different, and documentations that are required, but do you have like a general list of documentations that you do request during the pre-approval process when they initially apply?
We do, our team does, we know what to request. A lot of stuff can be verified online now. So we can verify assets. You can verify income with a lot of large employers. Some of our programs require W-2s, some require tax returns, some don't, some we can pull on the computer. So it's specialized. I mean, sometimes somebody will fill out an application and the only thing we'll need to get from them is an assigned authorization form and a photo ID. Just depending on what they can upload, but we get through it pretty quickly and we'll let them know what they need to upload.
Awesome. Doesn't sound very scary to me. Sounds pretty easy.
We try not to make it scary. Try to make it quick and painless, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, we can certainly get to another anonymous question, unless Kofi, you have anything else that you want to chat about, or any other questions now that we're getting a little bit more into the pre-approval process and what that looks like.
No, I'm good.
Okay, great.
What did you think about, Kofi, I'm curious, what did you think about Katie's response to how she really simplified the whole entire process?
Well, I think it looks quite easy if you have the right documentation. You should sail through, and I believe she will be able to guide you through. If you need some extra documents, she'll be able to guide you through it. Yeah, so yeah, it's okay.
Awesome. I agree. Definitely, Katie and her team seem like the dream team to guide you through that process, especially if it's the first time. So yes, thank you, Kofi. Beth, Jeff, hit us with another anonymous question.
All right, here we go. Google.
Linda has something to say, but she's on mute.
Sorry. Just how we were talking about appraisal and assessed. I kind of wanted to throw it out there that maybe, Chris, if you want to speak to the appraised value and within a contract, and kind of also within the loan process. So there's an understanding of just kind of the criteria for, I guess, because for certain loans, the appraised value matters. And then for others, not so much, but then you would need to basically come up with the difference. So I didn't know if, Chris, you wanted to speak a little bit to that. Or
like the contingencies, making it contingent, not making it contingent, anything that we know, like, you know, the back of our hand, but a buyer may not understand the difference between it.
Yeah, sure. I know his initial question was as it related to appraised value versus assessed value, and I actually had my computer was on the glitch, so I missed that conversation. But when it comes to appraised value, it deals with fair market value, and so when they look at they look at the recent comps, the recent solds in the neighborhood, but they also take a look at the current market. And there's an appraisal process that is done by the lender. There are certain loans where the appraisal the appraisal contingency, and what I mean by that is when a buyer puts in an offer, there are several variables to their offer, and one of those variables are as it relates to the appraisal process, where if any home or property that's going to be financed, there will be an appraisal process. And then when that appraisal comes back, if that appraisal comes above the sales price, then everything's fine. But if it comes below that, then there's a gap. And a buyer can include a contingency in their sale where if the home doesn't appraise, then they have the option to void the contract. In this market, we are seeing a lot of buyers waiving that contingency. So they're essentially saying, even if the home does not appraise, if the appraisal value comes below their sales price, that they will then have to come to the settlement table with additional funds to make up for that gap. And that has to do primarily with a conventional loan. If you're working with a VA loan, there are different expectations there and requirements where a buyer actually cannot waive that contingency, they must keep that appraisal contingency. So that's a very surface level answer. I know that Katie or Alyssa can dive much deeper into that, but from a buyer standpoint, we are definitely seeing appraisal contingencies in this market. They're definitely consideration to waiving that contingency. So it's a scary proposition, but it's oftentimes something that has to be considered in order to win a property.
Good stuff. Excellent points, both of you. Thank you, Linda. That was a great follow-up.
Agreed. So shall we go to the next anonymous question in hopes that this will serve and help Kofi?
We should.
Let's do it.
I don't know that the third one that we had that came in, it's really based on that you have something to sell, you sell the house, and then you haven't found where you're going to move to. So I don't know if it's definitely geared towards Kofi's situation. It's a great question. People do find themselves in that position often, especially in this market. They put their house for sale and it sells, over the weekend, and the people want to close in 30 days. And now they're like, oh boy, where are we going to move? Extended stay America, grandma's house, what are we going to do? So that's kind of what the basis of number 3 is. So we can ask that. What do you think, Martha? Should we go with a different question? I've got another one that might pertain to Kofi a little bit better.
All right, let's go with that one.
Okay, so I had a buyer that asked me this recently, and she was at work talking about her home buying process. And one of her coworkers said, well, you're not going to get a home inspection. Those aren't allowed anymore. If you want to win this house, no home inspection. So her question to me was, well, that kind of makes me nervous. I'm looking at older properties. How do I buy this home without a home inspection and be confident that, my house isn't going to cave in, or, there's a gas leak, or there's mice everywhere. Martha's mice. So I thought that was a really valid question. I walked her through it in my own way, but I'm going to put that to you, Google, and you answer that. Can she get a home inspection still? Can she win a property with a home inspection? And, what's involved in that?
Great question. You can definitely still win a home over and get your home inspection. I think number one above all is making sure that home is in great, condition, is safe to live in, and having a home inspector come in and tell you everything that the home has, doesn't have, should be aware of, should no concern needed. I know that is number one. There will be homeowners who will not, or sellers who will not want that. And, I think that is part of the process. You're going to win some or lose some and then win one, right? Like, you're going to go through that process of finding the home. But overall, definitely prioritize the home inspection. Because you never want to fall into a situation where you didn't and something might have gone wrong, and all that. So yeah, that would be my final answer. Home inspection priority, and of course always have a realtor by. That's always going to be my answer. Have a realtor, expert realtor by your side, because they're going to know what to do in those cases, and they're going to be able to negotiate and make it all happen. So final answer, submit.
You know what, Martha? That was really good. Maybe you've been hanging around Sarah too often. There were a lot of things there that were said that sounds like some things that she would say. But being Google, a little incomplete, a little impersonal, but correct. You actually did a great job. I think we should still pitch this to our resident expert realtor, Linda, and have her explain, how can I get. You say that we need a home inspection. It's a smart idea. How can we get that through? How can we ask for a home inspection, but not seem like the type of buyers that are going to ask you to, do the tiniest little minute things? There's a door that squeaks. Well, we want $500 to fix that squeaky door. How are we going to make this contract go through and buy this house and have a home inspection? How does that work, Linda?
What options do our buyers have?
What would you do? How would you make this work?
So it varies. Right now is a different market, that there's no inventory. It is very competitive. So, dropping as many contingencies as possible with your offer is definitely has more value to a seller. But there are different ways around it. I do not recommend not having a home inspection on a house. It's too much of it's a large asset. It's probably one of your biggest assets, and it's a scary thing just buying something without having some knowledge. So I don't recommend it.
In a buyer beware state.
Right. What I do suggest in this kind of market, there is something called pre-offer home inspections that say a house goes live and active on a Friday. You should be the first person there with your buyers and make a quick determination if this is a house that you really, really want. They're taking offers, or there's an offer deadline, let's say for Monday at 5 p.m. You would have a conversation with the agent to see if they were allowing pre-offer home inspections. Which wouldn't be a typical home inspection could run you 2 to 3 hours depending on the size of the house. It can be extremely thorough. But a pre-offer home inspection is kind of like a walk and talk for about an hour, where they go through and look at the big ticket items in the house, the structure, the appliances, just the large ticket items. So you would have knowledge ahead of time. Say the refrigerator was 20 years old, and obviously the refrigerator is going to go at some point. You just kind of know it in the back of your head. I'm probably going to have to shell out $1,000, $1,500 at some point, but I can live with that. So that kind of home inspection will give you the comfort to be able to waive the home inspection contingency and to move forward on an offer. There's another option. Say the seller's agent or the seller does not allow pre-offer home inspections. You can make an offer with the home inspection contingency, but it would be for void only. So, you know, you can go ahead and have the home inspection, but you can't go back to the seller after you've made your offer and they've accepted your offer. You can't go back and say, hey, you know, I want $100 for this, $300 for that. You know, there's this wrong, that wrong. The only option you have in the recourse with that would be to void the contract and get out of the contract. And typically you would want to do that within, you know, 2 to 4 days after your contract has been accepted. So for some reason, if you do decide or your buyer decides to back out, then they have time to put it back on quickly to the market. And then only one other situation with the home inspection, the only time that I would say it's okay to waive home inspection with no knowledge is if, you know, it depends on what your intentions are with the house. If you plan on tearing down that house and, you know, building new, then, you know, that would be a time that I'd be okay with waiving or, you know, not having home inspection. So it just depends on where people are. But right now, you kind of, what with, you know, 10 or 20 offers coming through, you want the seller wants the least risk and they want the highest dollar amount. So right now you're kind of in a tough situation.
Yeah.
It's good advice. I think someone on that beach should bring you a drink with a straw in it and a little umbrella.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, great answer. I like that I can tell that you're an agent that like wants to protect their buyers. I like the first part you said where I do not recommend you getting involved in a house that you can't have an inspection in. And also, like, there are certain circumstances, like I'm a contractor, so if I were buying an investment property and I really wanted to win it, and I probably wouldn't have a home inspection because I can walk through myself and tell what's wrong with it. Not everybody has that level of expertise. I know that Chris had a client recently, and he's got a really good friend of mine too that's a contractor, and he had him kind of go in and walk through it. And I thought that was a really smart option and taking advantage of somebody that he had close to him that he trusts in order to kind of get those preliminary findings. So great answer, good stuff. Not surprised, but that was good stuff, especially for somebody that might not have bought a house before and in the process. Very good.
Yes, I completely agree. Linda, that was super, super informative. And I am sure that a lot of people got a nugget or two off of what you shared. So thank you very much. And as we wrap this call, I would love to hear, Kofi, what is some feedback? What are your thoughts about, you know, what you've heard today, what you've learned, what you've took away from this call?
Oh, thank you. So, well, from this call, I've first thing I'm taking into consideration in my home search with my agent, it's the contingency for no home inspection. I'm gonna take that one seriously because, as you guys said, for such a big investment, you have to take the risk involved seriously and not get involved in not get yourself involved in something that's gonna take out more cash from you in repairs and other stuff. So that's the first thing. And the other thing too is the difference between the offer price, appraisal, and the assessment value. Yeah, also I've learned a lot from that, and also will take that into consideration when I find a property of interest. Yeah.
Awesome.
Kofi, and if someone were to, if we were to invite someone else and tell them, hey, come join, what would you say? Would you encourage them to come on the show, especially all the value that you've learned? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I would definitely encourage the person to come on the show because they've got a whole lot to learn, especially if they are first-time home buyers. Yeah, there are so many areas that we, the lay people on the street, don't know about home buying. You know about the real estate industry. Joining this forum will help them to make a good decision on their home purchases.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that feedback. Thank you for your thoughts. I am super grateful and excited, as we all are, that you got to enjoy this experience, Kofi. And co-hosts or hosts, Jeff, Beth, what you got to say to the entire team or the entire, audience here live, and also Kofi, on following the JS Realty team and more?
Well, first off, congratulations, Kofi, on starting the process. It's a huge step. So congratulations, and at the very least, pat yourself on the back for starting this huge chapter. We're super excited for you, and we're excited that you're working with Chris. If you do have any additional questions, you're more than happy to reach out to us. Katie, Alyssa, they can be there for the lending side of things for you. Chris obviously is your realtor. If you look in our chat, there is bios for all of us. So, please feel free to reach out. We are super excited for you, and we really do appreciate you coming on.
Yes, thank you, Kofi. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all on Facebook Live for watching and listening in. And yeah, thank you again. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your Wednesday afternoon, even though it's still morning my time, because I'm still in California. And yes, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.